Hi everyone, you're listening to Achieve Balance with Dr. Arminta, a show brought to you to help you be healthier, happier, and more vitalistic next year than you are this year. You can find us at achievebalancechiropractic.com/podcast. And you can find us on Facebook as well. We are looking forward to helping you be healthier in your future. Thanks for listening. Now let's start the show. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Achieve Balance with Dr. Arminta. So, as I'm recording this, we are in the heart of the holiday season of 2018, and today's topic is going to be one that surrounds the season, but it should be a active portion of our daily life to ensure peace, happiness, lower stress response, and that topic is gratitude. And so today we're going to talk about gratitude, what it is, how it affects you, and how to bring more of it into a routine of your life. And in today's day and age, we are really caught up in not only the hustle and bustle of this holiday season, but outside the holiday season, we have a lot of political stuff happening in our world right now. We have a lot of higher demands on us because we have such a rampant amount of technology that we're exposed to in this day and age in our world. And when we go like that, it really can increase our state of stress and our stress response in our body, which can actually pull us away from our typical gratitude practice. And one of the things that I want to really highlight today is, number one, how can we have more of that? So that's how we're going to end up our conversation today, is how to bring more gratitude into your life and how to practice it on a daily basis so it can impact not only your health, but just how you experience this world that we live in and this thing that we're doing called life. So, what is gratitude? Gratitude is a pretty complex emotion, if you would. Some people relate gratitude to joy, some people to contentment, some people a sense of relief, but it is that overarching emotion of peacefulness, of the exhale, if you would. And I think that we spend a lot of our times in a stress response, so our mentality nor our body is experiencing a state of gratitude, and that's almost done as a natural safety response. So as a species, as a human species, we're really hardwire in our brains to really put light and focus on the negative in terms of saving our lives. Like if we have, a massive stress response, we ingrain that stress response. So if we are ever in that situation again, we can have a pull from this personal memory to be able to have a positive effect on the next time that negative thing happens. You can get out of that negative situation faster. But that worked really well when we were hunters and gatherers, and we had to remember where the predators were and where the threats were. But we live in a state where there's so much pressure and there's so many deadlines and there's so much need to be connected that we never really come out of that stress response. And gratitude is a really great way of eliminating or going out of that stress response. So when we have a stress response, it stimulates something called the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which triggers fear hormones and a state of fight or flight. So your body can be in a state of, how am I going to get out of this situation? But one of the really amazing things of gratitude is there was a study performed by the National Institutes of Health using MRIs. And what they did is they had these individuals report their gratitude and practice gratitude, and then they did the MRI studies on it. And what that showed was an increased flow of blood to a part of the brain called the hypothalamus. And that controls a lot of our stress response and sleep response. And whenever we have increased activity to that part of the brain, it actually inhibits the production of a hormone called cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and most of us pretty much know about that. But when you have that, when you are practicing gratitude, you actually break that HPA axis communication, and you get your hypothalamus to downregulate the stress response and function in more of a state of ease or rest and recovery. Basically, you can't be in a state of gratitude and a state of fear at the same time. And what stress does is stress stimulates fear hormonal changes within your physiology. And when you are in a state of fear, that's perpetual. But then when you practice a state of gratitude, because remember, fear and protection is going to be a default mechanism of the reptilian portion of the brain. And so if you don't have a practice around gratitude, then you're going to default to fear. And this, you can see it all over our world in terms of the state most people are living in. But I want to remind you that you have control over this, that you can make a conscious effort to change your physiology and hack that portion of the body to downregulate those responses, to upregulate peace and calming sensations and physiology within the body, and thus create a greater state of ease. Or, and I'm going to go through a ton of lists of benefits of gratitude here in just a second, but I want to make sure they really hammer in what does non-gratitude versus gratitude do to us, and what are the physiological responses. There's another form of whenever we have practiced gratitude, there's a theory out there that is known as the polyvagal theory. And this was proposed by a researcher at Indiana University Research Center, and his name is Steve Porges. And it talks about how the vagal response, and when you are in a state of stress, you're going to have a lower vagal tone. So a low vagal tone is bad. We don't want low vagal tone. Low vagal tone is a state of anxiety, fight or flight response, producing a lot of those adrenaline hormones, cortisol hormones. But if you have a high vagal tone, and that means that you're able to get into a state of rest and relaxation, or rest and recovery, or what scientifically speaking is your parasympathetic response, faster, which also helps lower your inflammation and helps improve your immune system. And whenever you practice gratitude, the research shows that you are actually able to have control over the transition from a low vagal tone to a high vagal tone much faster than those who do not have a practice state of gratitude. So what is it that this gratitude stuff does for us anyways? And what are some benefits of it? And this is going to be pretty elementary if you've ever practiced gratitude, but I think that it's like most of our stuff that we teach, if we really go down to the heart of it, it's pretty elementary. It's just that you have to practice it. And so we have to continue to remind you to practice it, because our world, if you're passive, doesn't push you towards practicing it consciously and making it a habit and a ritual. So, gratitude and having a practice of gratitude actually makes us happier. There is a study out there, this is really a cool one, that if you have a practice of gratitude, so if you have a practice of gratitude, that you actually are shown to be 10% happier than those who do not have a practice of gratitude. And the other thing that compares to is doubling your income. So do you think that would be worth putting into your world? And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. So I'm going to talk about that here in just a few minutes too, is the amount of time you have to spend to cultivate this habit of gratitude, if you would. But it automatically makes you happier, which is amazing. So gratitude makes you feel more fulfilled, happier, elevated mood, higher vibrational tone as well, which is always something that we want to have as an increased emotional elevational tone, because that elevates our cellular activity, which elevates our health as well. So some other things that gratitude does to actually make us healthier is people that practice gratitude journaling, they showed 16% fewer physical symptoms, 19% more time spent exercising, which is a nutrient requirement of the human body. So if you're not moving your body, get out there and do it, because it's so important and it's so fulfilling. And I can do a whole podcast on movement and what that does for us. It also decreases 10% less physical pain, 8% more sleep, 25% increased in that quality of the sleep too. Like, that is huge. So one of the bigger things that I see in terms of how our world is being negatively impacted by our health is that our sleep is being trashed. And I've got a whole podcast on sleep. I've got a blog on sleep. Sleep's one of the requirements of the human body. It's really, really, really important. But if we can get more of it, and more importantly, get better quality of it, is going to be of utmost importance. And that can lead into things like decreasing your risks of cancer and decreasing your risks of stroke, and diabetes, and heart disease. And all of those things are linked to that. So those are just a couple of things in terms of your health. It also increases more energy. And in terms of personality and what gratitude does for our personality and how we, express ourselves in this world, is we tend to be more optimistic, more spiritual, and have better self-esteem. We also rely less on materialistic items, which I think is really important during this holiday season. A lot of times we think of, okay, we got to get the gifts, we got to do the thing, we got to get, instead of how about we just be and enjoy the process of sharing the season with people, instead of thinking about the pressure of the next gift item or the materialistic things, because really, in all actuality, we know that those things don't truly make us happy. They just hold space for something that we're missing. So I think that that's really important, so that it makes us less materialistic. It also makes us less self-centered. And in terms of our emotions, it creates more happiness. It creates the goodness feeling, the more relaxation feelings. And it also creates less envy. So when you're happy and you have a lot of more gratitude, I think that one of the things that plagues our world today is this comparison thing, especially with social media being out there, and how social media it pits us to compare ourselves. When in all actuality, you have to remember that you're seeing somebody else's highlight reel. You're not really seeing the valley to their peaks, if you would. So there's a lot of imbalance in terms of what we're seeing online. So when you have a practice of gratitude, it actually makes you feel less envious, because you're already content within yourself. One of the last things in terms of our emotional health is that it actually helps us be more resilient and be able to rebound better from stress responses, which is where that vagal tone thing comes back into play, which is really cool. So those are some of just a couple of the researched, and these guys, every one of those things that I talked about, they have journal articles and studies showing you the benefits of having a gratitude practice. So what do I mean by gratitude practice? And this has to be a thing that we have to do on a regular basis. And one of my best things that I can encourage for folks to start this practice, there's some tools out there. One of my favorite tools is the 5-minute journal. And it is a journal that you take 2.5 minutes in the morning and 2.5 minutes in the evening. And you project your day and you reflect your day, and it slows you down and it makes us not be so hustle bustled. So one of the things that has you do is write 3 things you're thankful for every morning, and you affirm these things. So this is a good way to do it. I think you will find this on Amazon. I want to say it's like $5 or something. It's really inexpensive. It's an amazing tool to start your practice. If you don't have $5, shoot. Get a piece of loose leaf paper, a Post-it note, the back of an envelope, whatever it is, and write down the stuff that you're grateful for. And guys, it can be there's times in our world that we have hard spaces, and man, there's some nasty stuff that we have to walk through as humans in this life in certain phases of our lives. And I want to remind you that if you're in that space, that there's always something to be grateful for. That if you're here on this earth in existence, that there's a purpose. There's a place for you specifically. There are people that love you, that want to embrace you, that want to hold your hand on this journey called life. And sometimes when you have a lot of the chaos and the stress that weighs us down, the fear that weighs us down in life, it's hard to see the things that are good. But the more you practice it, the more you're going to see of it. So if you start this and you're really in a rough spot in your life, start with simple things like, the sky is blue. Do you have socks on your feet? Do you have food in your belly? Do you have people that you can hug? Do you have clean water to drink? There's always something to be grateful for. And when you make a practice of gratitude on a regular basis, it becomes easier and easier, and you become more fulfilled and more fulfilled. And that fulfillment transcends into all of those other positive things in terms of our physiology and our body. And it also, when that positivity happens, it bleeds into other areas of your life, like your social world. If you're happier, your social world's going to be more fulfilling, more fulfilled. In your career, in your professional life, if you have a practice of gratitude, that is much more rich and not as heavy, because, work can be heavy, if you would, sometimes. Even if you love what you do, there are days that you're going to have rock days, and there are days that you're going to have diamond days. But if you can focus on those diamond days, it'll make the rock days seem so much less heavy, if you would, because rocks are heavy sometimes. So we're talking about social, we're talking about career, and if those two things are better, guess what? Your pocketbook's going to be better. So, it goes into the financial thing. So it's spiritual, physical, emotional, social, career, and financial. I mean, you're talking about 6 major pillars of your life, that one thing that can take you 5 minutes a day will benefit to a positive impact. So get out your pens, get out your pencils, keep a little notebook by the side of your bed so that you can just jot down and you can reflect on it. And it doesn't take long, but it really switches the physiological response from fear to faith, and dis-ease to happiness and ease and fulfillment. And if I can wish anything for anybody this holiday season, or really any season of our lives, it would be to have an attitude of gratitude, because it is so amazing what it does for you in terms of all the beautiful corners of your life. So I know that one of the things that comes upon my gratitude list every single time that I sit down and I start to really write it out, because once you start going, it can get a little crazy, because you can really get to filling up some paper with this, because it becomes a snowball effect of, oh my gosh, all of the good stuff in the world. But I'm truly grateful for you and the people that are listening to this. If you're practice members or patients of ours or clients of mine, I am so grateful for you. You guys make that list on a very regular basis, if not a daily basis, when I'm journaling and I'm writing. And I pray that you find an amazing way to make gratitude a part of a ritualistic experience in your world, and making space in your world to create the habit of gratitude. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Hi guys, Dr. Arminta here. Thank you so much for listening. I hope today's episode brought you information to help you eat better, move better, think better, and take care of the true root of your health issues. You can find us online at achievebalancechiropractic.com/podcasts, and you can find us on social media as well. We look forward to having you here the next episode, and we look forward to helping you create a healthier future tomorrow.